everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alana and today in this video we will be exploring a topic and a bit more of yoga philosophy rather than just the asana or the physical postures. The physical postures are what most, like 99% of Western yogis know to be yoga, but in actuality it is such a small part. So there was this ancient, very wise yogi or a sage called Patanjali, and he wrote, well, you can kind of call it a book. It's one of the first yoga written scripts about yoga, and yoga is still very much based on this. It's called the Yoga Sutras. Like I said, Patanjali is the author. You might have heard of this before. So in this piece of writing, he describes the 8 limbs of yoga, and asana, or the physical postures, is only one of the 8 limbs. And dare I say, maybe even the smallest limb, or the limb that has the least amount of impact. You might have heard of that before as well, that yoga is only one of the 8 limbs. So what is the other 7 then? Today we will be unpacking and looking at, well, just doing a brief overview and introduction of the first limb, which is the yamas. So the yamas are like an ethical guideline or a sort of a moral conduct that in Hinduism and Jainism, to this very day, they still follow this strictly as like laws that they follow in their lifestyle, religion, tradition, whatever you want to call it. But we as Western yogis, or if you're not in those religions, obviously we don't have to follow these like laws. It's not imposed by society. It's not like I said, any religion or anything that you have to do A, B, C, D, E. But the goal of yoga, if you look at yoga as a whole, so the 8 limbs as a lifestyle, the goal of yoga is to have a still mind. So to have your mind at peace, or you can say to have a mind without fluctuations. So up and downs, to be completely in control of that, to just have your mind almost as a blank canvas. And that's why we meditate, right? So meditation, breathing, all of those things comes into the limbs. The yamas, like I said, is the ethical code. So yamas in Sanskrit means restraint. So these are the things not to do. Okay, and there's 5 yamas. Okay, so the 5 limbs of yoga is Ahimsa, Satya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, and Asteya. Not necessarily in that order. But yeah, so the first one is Ahimsa, translating into non-violence or non-harm. So this extends further than just physical harm. So it's harm against yourself, against others, the environment, animals, the earth. Yeah, basically any sort of harm. So having generosity of thought is also a big part of Ahimsa. Just think of that hippie loving vibe, just loving everything on this earth. A lot of people argue as well that you have to be vegan or vegetarian in order to live by Ahimsa, which it is an important conversation to have, but that is one factor playing into Ahimsa, and that's obviously not the biggest or the only factor. You can practice Ahimsa in a lot of ways besides being a vegan. That's also obviously fine if you are a vegan. And then also conversely, if you are a vegan, you can't just say, okay, cool, Ahimsa, check, done, don't have to worry about that anymore. It's in every single moment being, like I said, kind or generous to yourself. All those little thoughts that you have, I'm not good enough. Think of maybe in or on your mat in a posture, thinking, okay, this is not the right way, or how do I look here, or literally any intrusive thoughts on or off your mat about yourself, about someone else. Think of something as small as road rage. Yeah, literally anything that's not kind. And this is very, very difficult to practice. So yeah, that is the first yama, is Ahimsa. Okay, the second yama is Satya. So that means non-lying or truthfulness. And in the physical sense, yes, don't lie, be truthful. But this also, truth goes a lot deeper than that. So truth is about having your mind, your thoughts, your body in harmony. Truth relates to being a neutral observer and seeing things as they are and not as you want them to be. So it doesn't just involve speaking your own truth, but it also involves deep listening. So listening to other people's truth. If you really embody Satya, you would help other people to speak and live their truth as well. So for their truth to come out and be amplified in the world. Yeah, again, a difficult one to practice. That is why it is a lifelong practice doing these or living by these 5 yamas. It's not a check box that you can tick and go on with your life. It's something that every single day you have to choose to be mindful of and to consciously practice every single day in every single moment. The third yama is called Asteya, and this means non-stealing. So in a literal sense, this means not going out and stealing things from other people, but this also means not stealing from yourself, not stealing from, like I said, others, the environment. This can relate to time as well, so not stealing or wasting your own time or someone else's time, basically just honoring everyone's time. This also relates to cultural appropriation in a big way. So you are stealing, technically, if you are in the West and you are white and you are doing yoga, you are technically stealing from another culture, religion, because yoga is an ancient Eastern practice, and it always has been and it always will be. So if you just take what you want from it, so you are like, okay, cool, I want to do one of the limbs, which is asana, and that's all I want to do, yeah, then you are obviously cultural appropriation. I mean, it's a big debate in the yoga community, and as a white yoga teacher, it is difficult to not, I don't think you can not culturally appropriate, but it is important to acknowledge your teachers, acknowledge the roots of yoga, and try to not nitpick what you want from a community or a culture or a religion that might have been oppressed. And the other thing is, where cultural appropriation comes in, is if you do these things for profit, so it benefits you in some way. So you are using something from another culture that is precious to them to make profit for you. So try to not do it in a way that benefits you, but really just to honor yoga's roots. And that's also why I'm making this video, is to get this yoga philosophy and more of these ideas and knowledge into the Western world, because it is a tendency in the Western world to only focus on asana, where, like we said, that's the smallest part of yoga. So Asteya, meaning non-stealing. This can also relate to resources. So resources others share with you, or natural resources from the earth. So just being careful and using it in a conscious way. The next yama is Aparigraha, and this means non-possessiveness or non-attachment, or when you literally translate it, it means non-graspiness. So not grasping onto anything. So not people, objects, so not being materialistic, also not people, not expectations, not outcomes. So just accepting what will be, and this is also very difficult, especially when something bad happens to us or something that influences you or affects you in a big way, to not really react and to take a step back and be like, I'm not attached to this. I think this is actually one of the most difficult yamas to practice. So not being attached to any outcomes of anything that relates to not expecting anything up front, just being present in this moment and knowing that the only truth in this world is this very second, and then it's gone again and it's out of existence. So the only thing that actually exists is the second we are in now. So everything that happens before it and everything that happens after it does not matter, does not exist, is not the truth. And this is a big part of the yogic lifestyle and thinking and philosophy. This is one of the forcing or the ideas that kind of moves everything else into place as well. The last yama is called Brahmacharya, and this relates to the right use of your energy, or it can also relate to celibacy, so your sexual energy. So refraining from having too much sex, basically. And the reason why is because that uses up your energy, so then your energy is depleted and you can't use it in a more productive way. Not productive in the sense of our consumerist capitalist world today, productive in a sense of calming your mind, helping others while holding space for others, maybe to also create some stillness in their minds. So the yamas, why we choose to try and live by the yamas is to have stillness of mind. And if you don't live by these, or if you, I don't want to say disobey, but for lack of a better word, if you disobey any of the yamas, the result will be fluctuations in the mind. Your mind won't be still or at peace anymore. Think of when you're not kind. Think of road rage when you're in the car. You are not calm and still and in that meditative state almost. So that is why we seek to live by these things. So Brahmacharya says that if you use your energy on the wrong things, then you don't have any energy left to pursue what you actually want to or are meant to. So this also relates to taking a rest when you need it in today's world. Like I said, it's very much you need to be productive and on all the time. Sometimes your body needs a rest, your mind needs a rest, and you can feel that. So take a rest, allow yourself the rest in order to be productive again the next day. So all of these yamas, you can also probably realize by now, they kind of interfit or interlink with one another. So you can't necessarily have the one without the other. For example, allowing yourself to rest, you first need to be truthful to yourself and recognize that you need rest before you can make the choice and use your energy in the right way. So they are all connected, and like I said, in very simplifying, like I'm simplifying it a lot, but the goal is a still peace of mind. So that was the introduction to the yamas. Maybe you've never heard of them before. Obviously there's a lot more depth you can go into every one of these. Like I said, it's only the first limb of yoga. I will at some point make videos about all 7 other limbs as well. So thanks for joining. I hope you learned something, and feel free to ask me anything in the comments. Thank you.